but he got hooked up to go start colts with Bill Van Norman Christmas break from school. So I went with him, and that got to be a annual thing for Christmas, is go down there and start them colts in the snow, and got to be good friends with Bill and Charlie. And Bill was married to Ray Hunt's oldest daughter, and so I kind of got to hanging around there a little more. And Ray would come in the summer and be there off and on, and that was when I first got around Ray. But back to the cattle handling deal for just a minute. We had some cattle that come into a big water gap, and it was probably about 3 or 4 times the size of a regular rodeo arena.
And it's even like, you got to charge the horse, and everybody's pulling on him to keep him back and away, and let him go up there and push on it and see what happens. And if you play around with those horses long enough, pretty soon you can't ride them to a cow, because that cow's going to get away from them, and they know it. And you get them more cowy, and it works in your favor instead of you get frustrated and the horse gets frustrated.
You think about how many things can go wrong in a stop. You can pull on them, their shoulders get stiff, their head goes up, and your weight is, out of in the wrong place and on their shoulders, loading their shoulders up. I mean, there's just, you could probably list, if we thought about it, 25 different things that could be wrong with the stop.
And I always tell my cutters you're a tick late all the time, so you're never trying to get ahead of that cow. Let the cow pull you, and when the cow starts pulling the horse doesn't do all that stuff because he isn't out of balance and doesn't like to be out of balance, so it makes it a lot easier.
Ray always said, I can ride them as fast as they could run. Well, what are they running away from? They're not running away, not if you're going with them. But like you said, that's a good point. It doesn't matter what it is. If you take what they got to offer you and use it to your advantage, how often I see people that, they sneak around these colts, and first they might not get out of the round trail for however long, and then they don't get out of the arena, and then they do want to get going, and that horse is never loped. They went too slow, and then when he does lope, they get scared, and of course the person's scared. That's why he didn't lope in the first place. But they just, the horse gets a pattern not lope, and they doesn't know what it feels like with a person. Not that they have to run off every time, but the sooner you get that working for you, and especially like you're talking about going out on the Boulder Flat there. Well, hell, it's a long ways to the first fence.
When I had that CD Rocks, I used to go down the fence with sliders on, and I felt like those cartoons where you're running in place for 10 minutes before you take off and go. And finally, I got smart enough to just shoe him, and everything worked out. He got confidence, and he stopped huge anyway, but it just down the fence, he couldn't get the traction, so he was not liking it. So I'm sure the same thing can go stopping too.
Yeah, if you're just reining, that's one thing, but you go chase that cow around in a circle. If they're not pretty careful about how they balance and how they push off, here they are spinning out, with their hind end, trying to catch that cow in a circle. And, a lot of horses have trouble doing it. I don't know about this horse, but they had some of them that was double bred Dacolina, and as well as I do, you kind of had to just dance around there. And do you remember how this horse was bred?